What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull Up Show. I'm your host, Mr. BJ Matthews, aka B Jizzle. Before we get started, follow us on the YouTube page, the Pull Up Basketball Podcast. Like, share, subscribe. All of our YouTube videos. Hit the like button as y'all come in here. Hit the share, the subscribe as well. Hit that Cash App, which is $BJ Matthews, $BJ Matthews. Continue to support the Pull Up Basketball Podcast. We have more great content for y'all through and through. I'll put the link so you guys can, show your love to the Pull Up Basketball Podcast by hitting that Cash App and have easier access. Let's get it popping. All right, man. NBA in-season tournament quarterfinals just began yesterday. I'm gonna actually be dropping another video later on today, but the NBA in-season tournament just started with the quarterfinals yesterday, and it's something for me I want to get into. Like, first of all, my thoughts on the in-season tournament. I think the in-season tournament is a good idea. I think it's a great way to get a lot of fans involved. I think it's a great atmosphere type of feel. The whole one game, go home and these guys are playing for something, which is cash. They're going to give their effort, through and through. And it keeps the NBA, more and more interesting for it to be a long season, right? So I actually love the idea. I know some people think it's stupid, or some people think it's a waste of time, or some people think that this, that, and the other. It's actually something positive to say about this, bro. I do love the in-season tournament idea. And I think, more people will start, catching a liking to it. You know what I'm saying? So, nonetheless, man, let's get into this one. We had a very, very couple high impact games last night between the Sacramento Kings and New Orleans Pelicans, which I'm going to talk about later, about that game and some things I saw. And we want to talk about this one right here. The Indiana Pacers and the Boston Celtics, with the Pacers losing to the Celtics losing to the Pacers. I can't remember the score off the top of my head, but it ended with the Pacers advanced best to the next round, and it was led by this guy right here, Mr. Tyrese Haliburton, the point guard for the Indiana Pacers, their up and coming star, this, that, and the other. He led the way. Very exciting game to watch. I watched it actually twice. After the first time, I watched it again this morning, just to kind of see and depict some stuff that was going on. Because Indiana, I think they're 11-8 right now. They're either 10-8 or 11-8. So the Pacers are that middle of the pack team right now. And I did hear some chirpings last year about this team, that they were going to have a lot of things, exciting things coming up this upcoming year. What I'm saying, with the whole the advancement of Tyrese Haliburton. They got Miles Turner over there. A lot of Clipper fans were looking to get Miles Turner last year. He's still on that team. Benedict Mathurin, their young up and coming player as well. He's exciting to watch. They picked up Buddy Hield. They picked up Bruce Brown, who won a championship with the Nuggets last year. TJ McConnell. They picked up some good guys over there, right? Now, Indiana's a team that's not really shown on national television. That's why it was such a big deal for them to get this win the way they did against Boston Celtics team that is the second, I think, best team in the league record wise, if I'm not mistaken. Either first or second, but either way, they're a championship caliber team. The Pacers were the second seed, and the Boston Celtics are the third seed in this in-season tournament. So it was quite a big deal to actually see this change of events with the young up and coming exciting squad. The Pacers, being able to prevail over the Boston Celtics was very, impressive in my opinion. But let's get into it, man. I want to talk to y'all a little bit about, Tyrese Haliburton. Of course, the thumbnail is like, who is this guy? Because, for, most intents and purposes, excuse me. All right, I'm back. So, for most intents and purposes, Tyrese Haliburton has been somebody that's been under the radar. He has not been talked about with the young up and coming stars like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Anthony Edwards, Zion Williamson. Not even to the degree of LaMelo Ball, right? Trae Young, I think he's 25 as well. Ja Morant, he doesn't have that prestige yet. De'Aaron Fox, and I believe Haliburton's 23 right now. So he's around that same, 21 to 25 mark in that little age group. But yeah, this guy hasn't really been talked about. He's been in the league for 5 seasons. A lot of people don't know too much about him because, like I said, Indiana's not a team that's on the big screen much, and they're actually a team that doesn't really get a lot of praise because they don't have like no real big stars yet. Like I said, Haliburton just coming into his own. But if we look at his past 5 seasons in the NBA, this is kind of what he's been doing the last 5 years. So he began his tenure in Sacramento in 2020 with De'Aaron Fox as his backcourt teammate. Now, they made a trade during his second year with the Sacramento Kings. They made a trade for Domantas Sabonis, who was with the Indiana Pacers at the time. Now, a lot of people at the time thought that move was a mistake because they looked at Haliburton and Fox as that next, backcourt duo, when in reality, what they were able to getting Sabonis to Sacramento was now you have a better pick and roll option. You have a better, guy who can, dominate inside. And that resulted in the Kings being a more improved team last season, right? Getting them to the third seed of the playoffs. Or third seed, yeah, the Western Conference playoffs. So the trade worked out for Sacramento. As far as Indiana, they, at the time last year, during the trade, they struggled. They didn't make the playoffs. But this year, they might have something to say, especially how they're playing in this in-season tournament. So, it could have worked out for both sides. But nonetheless, Haliburton, every single year, his scoring average has went up. So you go from 13 to 14 to 17 to 20.7 to now 26.9 this season. His assist numbers have went up 5.3 to 7.4, 9.6, 10.4, 11.9. His stats as a point guard assist ratio has went up, right? As y'all come in here, hit the like button, hit the share and the subscribe as well. This is a pre-recorded video. This is not a live. If we look at his percentages as well, free throw percentages, he's always hovering around 85%, 85.7, 83.7, 84.9, 87.1, and then 88.1 this season. His three-point percentage has been the best he's been his entire career, 40.9, 41.3, 41.6, 40% last year, and now 44.7. And then his field goal percentage shooting is at 52. So all of his numbers, right, have went up. His shooting splits, his field goal percentage, his 3%, and his free throw percentage, right? So that's a testimony of just, he's been getting better every single year and the work he's been doing. And then if you look at the games he plays and stuff like that, this is the thing that's kind of, a concern. He's out, for a number of games. He ain't really played a full season yet, right? He hasn't really played a actually full season outside of 2022, where he played, I think, we're looking like 77 games, right? Yeah, if I know math. Yeah, he played 77 games. So he played a full season that year. But other than that, he's been playing 58, 51, 56. And hopefully this year he can get to, around that 70 mark. But, he's basically, for the most part, improved every single year. So from what I've seen last night about, Haliburton, I'm going to give y'all the positive and negatives because I think a lot of people have to take everything with a grain of salt and have to, look at everything, piece by piece, right? Because I understand, when people see a national televised game, they look at a guy and he has like a huge game against an unexpected team and they start, saying, well, he's, this, he's that, he's going to have this team, this place, that place. We got to look at some of the stuff, the increments first before we start making those declarations. So I'm just going to break down this game with the eye test. I already showed y'all the stats, but the eye test, from what I've been watching of Haliburton, there was a game last year where we played him. It was us, like, we were in Indiana, right? And PG, I think, had 36 points, right? It was a game in Indiana. We lost by 1 point. I'll never forget it. We lost by 1 point in Indiana in a game where we were on a losing streak. And we had the game under control up into the fourth quarter. And this guy, Haliburton, took over the fourth. I think he scored, I want to say 11 points, 11 straight points in a row in the fourth quarter to, close the game out. And he completely just, took the game over in the fourth quarter. That's how we lost that game. So I know of Hallenberg. I saw him in Sacramento as well, but because of his, his team's not making the playoffs. You don't really there's other people that actually take over because they actually are in the playoffs. Ant-Man and Ja and De'Aaron Fox and Luca, and these guys are all in the playoffs. And this Halliburton guy is not at that stage yet, right? So now that you got Indiana got some, what I'm saying, some juice, we might be able to see him. So just watching him as a basketball player, though, I have to say a few things. Number one, you could tell he was taught the game at a young age, and I want y'all to understand what I mean by that. There are players out there who are hoopers, like natural hoopers, and there's players out there who are skilled hoopers. Right? There are players out there, I'm gonna say it again, who are naturally just born to play basketball. What I mean by naturally born to play, you can tell by a number of things: their feel, their ability to make things happen in a short period of time, their impact, what they're able to get accomplished in the period of time they're in the game. Right? Those are natural hoopers, natural feel. And then you do it at your position with the point guard, you could tell he's a natural point guard. His point assist ratio, meaning that his number of points he scores compared to his assists, his assist turnover ratio is unbelievable. Right? For him, there's nights I've seen him have 10 plus assists and 0 turnovers, meaning he passing the ball, but he's not turning the ball over. Now, that goes against what basketball is about, because usually when the ball is in your hand that much, you're going to turn the ball over at some point in the game. So you look at a lot of the point guards in the league. Luka Doncic, high point guard usage, but you look at the turnovers he has. Trae Young, high assists, but then you look at the turnovers he has. Ja Morant, high assists, but you look at the turnovers he has. So it's almost like a given that you're going to turn the rock over if you are having the ball in your hands that much. It's understandable. But if you look at this guy's assists, like even this year, 11.9 assists, that's almost 12 assists per game. And he's only averaging 2.4 turnovers. There are guys, James Harden he led the league in assists last year. That man averaged like 4 turnovers last year. So that is more amazing than anything, that he can get the ball where it needs to be got to and not turn the rock over, even though the ball is in his hands more than anybody else on the team, and sometimes even on the court. That shows you that he has a natural feel of the game. He understands to make the right play instead of spectacular play. A lot of his passes, if y'all pay attention, are not like between the legs. They're not, behind the back. They're not, all that. It's simply a lot of two-handed passes, bounce passes, skip passes. He sees the floor before anybody else sees it. He's a floor general, and he makes his teammates better. He's more of a old school point guard. He's not worried about nothing but getting the assist. He understands that an assist is an assist, no matter how basic it looks. I saw a few beautiful skip passes he did to the corner as he drove on the baseline, and he was looking to give the ball and it was such prestige and such precise that it goes right into the player's hands. Very similar to this guy right here on the screen next to him, Nikola Jokic. Right, that takes to having a very, very high IQ to be able to do that, to see passes that your opponents don't see, and not even your own teammates are not exactly prepared for it. So Tyrese is thinking of 1, 2, 3 steps ahead before the play is even over. There's point guards out there who do not do that. There's point guards who react to what is doing instead of the defense reacting to them, they react to the defense. Howen Burton is the type. He said, I'm gonna make you react to me. Another thing I saw, and again, I'm just talking about being a point guard, being a natural point guard. Another thing I see about him, like I said, he don't turn the rock over like that. He don't really turn the rock over. I can't recall. Did he have? I don't think he had a turnover last night, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he had a turnover precise. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but if he did, it was very like probably one or two, but he didn't turn the rock over like that. Um, you see, Drew Holiday is probably the best on-ball defender in the NBA, and the first half, Halliburton was struggling, which I'm gonna get into why, and a couple things I don't like about his game, but he was struggling in the first half, and basically it was just him putting himself in his own situation, getting his own way. The second half, he turned it up. I think he had 12 points in the third quarter right away, and he capped it off in the fourth quarter with a huge three and a huge and one 4-point play, right? And then here comes Buddy Hield, here comes Neesmith, here comes what I'm saying, Benedict Mathurin. Here comes all these dudes one after another, and all right on the back of Halliburton. As the crowd's getting into it, he's splitting double teams. He's reading the pick and rolls. He's directing his teammates. He's talking to his bigs. You know what I'm saying? He's making sure everybody's in their spots, man. He's pointing. He's talking. He's vocal. He's doing all these things to make sure that the offense is running smoothly, and you can actually tell that his teammates have a lot of trust in him. They have a lot of trust in him. Just based off his demeanor and his personality, he kind of comes off as a person who's just right for Indiana. Laid back, basic. His game is the same way, basic. Doesn't want for too much. Is not going to be too flashy. Right? I mean, his game matches the city of Indianapolis. So I think going back to the trade, I think it was the perfect idea for them to trade for this dude. And they're all around the same age. They're all around in their early to mid 20s. Bruce Brown, Benedict Mathurin, I think Buddy Hield, he's 31. Miles Turner is 29, 30, something like that, or 29, I think. But most of these guys are still, not even reached their prime yet. So they can do some damage in the East and compete. Because y'all can see they want to, compete. So I think, with his ability, what he's able to do and lead this team, the sky's the limit. And they also have a very good coach in Rick Carlisle who can lead these guys who's going to listen. But back to the point, his ball handling skills are very, very, polished. His crossover between the legs, behind, he can do all the, basic combinations, all that stuff. He can do all that on the court. He doesn't turn the rock over. Right? Even there's a play, I remember Drew Holiday was guarding him. I think it was like in the fourth, and Haliburton had it on the wing on the 3-point line. He made a crossover and he crossed over the ball right back, and he made Drew kind of stumble. He pulled up a three and he made it. Like, you know what I'm saying? He has the big game gene. Like there's players that have that gene where they want the ball. They want the rock. They want to score the basketball. They're not afraid who's in front of them. They're going to, take the shots that need to be taken. That's how this cat is right here, Tyrese Haliburton. I love his demeanor. I love his attitude when he wants the basketball. But a couple things I want to, I want to say that he needs to get better at, and he's only 23 years old, man. And he was in the Olympics this year, so I think that has something to do. Like, just like Anthony Edwards, his game is improved now to now people saying he's All-NBA first team. The same way that SGA was talked about last year is All-NBA first team is what this dude's being talked about. The same way SGA was talked about last year is what Ja Morant was talked about the year before. So this could just be his turn as a point guard coming up to be like, this guy's up next, right? But the thing about it is, Halliburton, SGA, Ant-Man, LaMelo, Zion, all these dudes they gotta do it in the playoffs. You see, Luka, Ja, De'Aaron Fox, all these guys have gotten their teams deep into the playoffs. Even though De'Aaron Fox lost in the first round to Golden State, they pushed them to the brink. They're the defending champions. They have to have an impressive playoff run before we start putting them in certain companies. You know what I'm saying? So one thing Haliburton, I think that he needs to improve. Of course, people don't like his shot form, his shooting form. Um, I'm not so worried too much about his form unless it doesn't go in. But if the shot goes in, people really don't. You can't really say nothing about it. 'Cause, I mean, that could be just what he's been used to for the majority of his career. Back into high school and college. Like there's certain players that have a funky shot, but it goes in. And if he's comfortable shooting that, and no one has a problem with it, I mean that's fine. But I mean, he has, he makes his 3-point shots for the most part this season. But the thing that I saw last night that can hurt his team is his shot selection. Like there was some terrible shots he shot in that second quarter and in that fourth quarter that were actually just bad shots, long threes off of pick and rolls, and just pulling and taking his team out the offense. But because of Indiana's ability to get up and down and run in the floor, I think that just comes with it. That they say, okay, we'll get the ball out, and we're gonna run and try to score at the next possession. See, they don't play slow. So with bad shots come more opportunities to score, and I think that's probably just what it is with and that could be a Rick Carlisle thing. He did the same thing with the Mavericks. Like their shot selection with Luka was terrible. But, because of the, opportunities Dallas got to score, people didn't really, focus and key on it, but I did. I mean, Haliburton's 3-point shot selection is not good. It's bad. I mean, if he keeps doing that against, say, I don't know, a team like, I can't even think, but a team that has, length and who gets out and run, who can score with you, that's not going to work in a 7-game series. He had to close the deal last night. But in a 7-game series against Boston, I don't see that happening. But it's another reason why I don't fully trust Boston, because Boston, their coaching is questionable. And I think that a lot of people think that Jason Tatum is just the person that's just going to take over the Eastern Conference. When we've seen Jimmy Butler, what he does to him, we see that Giannis Antetokounmpo, I think he's a better player than him. I think that Joel Embiid, like last year, they lost in 7 games. I think there's Philadelphia 76er team is better this year. Like there's a lot of teams out east who's going to give Boston a run for their money. So I'm not totally bought into Boston just being these world beaters. I'm just not. But as far as Haliburton goes, man, he is the truth. But I don't think that it's the time to say that he's just, he's this guy who's just, going to take over the league and he's a top 5 point guard and all that. I'm not here to say that, but what I will say is I want to bring this stat up right here. Is he's the only player next to Paul George who's leading their team in points, steals, and 3-point makes this season. Right? He's the only player in the NBA next to Paul George leading his team in points, steals, and 3 points made this season. So that means he's just not getting on the offensive end, but he's getting off on the defensive end. Right? He's getting on it on the offensive and the defensive end. So that's very impressive to watch. I like seeing players that play both ways. I like two-way players. So I'll be definitely keying into this cat more. But he's not a top 5 point guard. He's not a superstar. You know what I'm saying? Like I told y'all, superstars are a term that's used very loosely, right? Superstar, you gotta have first of all, you gotta have some hardware to be that. You gotta have some hardware. You gotta have at least an MVP or finals MVP, right? You gotta be box office. You know what I'm saying? Like there's some qualifications you must have. You gotta have multiple appearances to the playoffs in dramatic fashion. Like, so that's why I don't put, he's like Ant-Man. Like, even though I like Ant-Man, I think he'll be the best player in the next few years. I don't put him in no superstar category. I don't put no SGA in no superstar category. They saying like SGA should have been traded. They shouldn't have traded for Paul George. Dog, Paul George was coming off an MVP season the year before. And he's been consistently a top 10 player in the NBA, man. And we would have not gotten Kawhi if it wasn't for we didn't get PG, man. We made the right decision. The only reason people are gonna, bite back is because, they've been getting hurt at the wrong times. But SGA hasn't been leading this team. They haven't made it to the playoffs yet. There's a lot of great talent in the NBA, right? LaMelo, another one, ain't made it to the playoffs yet. Zion made it to one playoffs and got smoked by the Miami Heat in 5 games. I think it was his second season. So I'll be definitely keying into this cat more. But yeah, man, let me know what y'all think. Do y'all think Tyrese Haliburton is a top 5 point guard? Do y'all think that he's better than, the other young stars in this NBA this game? Just let me know. But see y'all next time. Pull up a seat, pull up a chair, put a live pace out of here like swim well.